So I want to get your take now about this new sentiment that we seem to be seeing in Washington, thanks to the 118th Congress and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Do you think we are actually going to see the U.S. get tough on China? Not just competition. I'm talking adversary.
Yeah, I hope so. But, you know, there's a lot of resistance because China has a lot of friends in Washington, D.C. And it's not just the business community, not just the financial community, but, you know, universities, colleges, all the rest of it. The thing about this select committee, it's good that they did this, but the point is we already have a Congressional Executive Commission on China. We have the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission. And really, we know everything. We just need to act. So I hope that Mike Gallagher, who's going to be the chairman of the Select Committee, moves fast.
Well, how is it possible that the CCP has been able to get, as Secretary Pompeo says, inside the gates of America? And that's what really you're seeing. They are in academia. They are in Hollywood. They are in business, global business. And that's why they have all of these, quote unquote, lobbyists for communist China across this country.
Yeah, we had this idea that if we engage with China, if we increase interdependence with China, that China would eventually become benign. But as we've seen, as it's strengthened, it's become more belligerent, more provocative, much more aggressive. And so really, during that period of integration, China was opened into the United States. And so therefore, it now has a lot of constituencies here. Wall Street, you know, Walmart, all the rest of them. And what we've got to do is we got to get them out, because if we don't, we're going to lose our country.
Part of the problem is this is about money, and people are being paid off. I mean, let's face it. You've got America's premier venture capital firm, Sequoia, with leadership at Sequoia, part of the Politburo. I mean, how is it possible that America's premier venture capital firm is arguably run by the CCP?
Well, I think it's because, you know, we have not identified China as an enemy. And we need to use that term because that's the term that China uses for us. They declared a quote-unquote people's war on us in May 2019. And we Americans, we think that we are entitled to be oblivious, so we just didn't care about it. So when you have the political class saying it's okay to be run by China, then we're going to be run by China. The only good thing, of course, is that the Chinese economy right now is contracting. They're going to have less money to do this. But, Maria, when China gets weak, it becomes belligerent, as we saw especially last month.
Well, look, the University of Pennsylvania has been receiving money from communist China for years. We now understand that they received $3 million in mysterious China-linked money from a mysterious China-linked businessman. Doesn't this start from the top? I mean, shouldn't Joe Biden stop saying China is a competitor and call it what it is, an adversary that wants to overtake the United States?
Yes, and it's not only an adversary, it's an enemy. And, you know, I understand why China or any other country wants to be the world's most powerful state. But the point is China is using malicious tactics to do that. Deliberately spread COVID-19 beyond its borders. Fentanyl, it's behind the fentanyl gangs, all of these things. It's China's tactics. And we're not recognizing that because we're not using the term that the Chinese use for us.
Well, why not? Why not? I spoke with J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon earlier this week. I went and spoke to him at the J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference, and he has business in China, continues to do that. He says one of his red lines would be an invasion of Taiwan. Here's what he said.
Hopefully, we will be part of the solution, and hopefully, you know, China will be a good player in the world stage. Taiwan is different. And
what do you mean?
Well, that's a whole different issue if something goes wrong in Taiwan.
If something goes wrong, invade Taiwan.
If they invade Taiwan, the reaction of the world will be extreme, and you'll see sanctions put on like in Russia and stuff like that. They'll have devastating consequences in China. We'll be okay. It won't be good for us, but we'll be okay. And it'll have huge consequences on global economy.
Your thoughts?
There's so much to unpack from there. You know, if China were to move against Taiwan, India, Japan, the Philippines, us, you know, this really would be global war because we've got a war right now on the western side of the Eurasian landmass. We'd have war on the eastern side. North Korea would invade South Korea. Iran would go after Israel. Algeria would go after Morocco.
Oh, my God.
Really, this is global conflict.
Well, I don't understand how the, U.S. corporates really view China as this growth story. OK, did they not learn anything from Jack Ma disappearing for several months back about a year ago? Do they really believe that a non-Chinese company is going to get anything, any priority whatsoever in communist China? And then there's this. Chinese billionaire Jack Ma is ceding control of his company, the fintech company Ant Group. The company said in a statement yesterday, Ma will no longer be in control and his voting rights will fall from over 50% to 6.2%, Gordon. A top Chinese central bank official is also declaring Beijing's big tech crackdown is coming to an end. They just took Jack Ma's business from him. He founded the Ant Group.
Right, and it has the world's most efficient and largest payments platform. And what they did was they stopped the IPO, slated to be the world's largest within 36 hours of that. That was November of 2020. And that should be a warning to every American businessman and woman going to China, because if they can do that to Jack Ma, they can certainly do it to Americans, especially with Xi Jinping's xenophobic campaign against foreigners these days. We Americans forget that the literal translation of the name of the Communist Party is not Communist Party. It is the party of public assets. And that has been their policy. That means it's not only the Jack Ma's of the world, but of course foreigners that are going to be subject to attack.
Yeah.
They will take away our assets when they get the opportunity to do that. They've done it in the past. They'll do it in the future. Yeah, that's really a warning to all of us.
Yeah.
Because it is the Communist Party that believes in the state, especially Xi Jinping is going back to Maoism. And Maoism is not good for Jamie Dimon. It's not good for Jack Ma. And it's not going to be good for the United States.
It's